Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. Today, I have a double feature for you. We'll be talking about Ultimate Soldier Series 1, 2, and 3 American Infantry, and also Forces of Valor 82nd Airborne. So, first up will be Ultimate Soldier, or as some of you know them as 21st Century Toys. 21st Century Toys was formed in the late 90s, and they started off with 1/6 scale Vietnam War accessories. And then they moved on to World War II. Then they expanded their line to 118 and 132. And I really like these 132 figures. They used to sell these at Toys R Us, and I would go in and I picked up, according to my hobby journal, I picked up three of the Series 1, two Series 2, and two Series 3. But what you see here on display is Series 1, 2, and 3, but only one set each of these here. I don't know where the other figures are. They're probably buried in storage somewhere. And then, of course, and the very bottom shelf, or first of the shelves, first tier, is the Forces of Valor, and that what you see there is two sets. Now, if you come up here, we'll talk about the Ultimate Soldiers first, and you can see this one is sort of leaning a little bit to the left. That's because figures in storage, they start to... I had to glue a lot of these back together again because they were damaged while in storage. I think I had to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Had to glue parts back on 10 of them. One of them had his arm broken off. It was pretty... Anyway, the surgery was successful. We were able to fix him. And that, by the way, is fixable also. You just dip it in hot water, straighten them out, and stick them in a bowl of cold water, or put them under the faucet with cold water, and you're good to go. Now, this first guy, the rifleman, he looks kind of casual for being in combat. It is... pose would suggest that he's at a firing range, and he's got his head tilted like he's looking at the sight, but you can see that the rifle is nowhere near his cheek, so who knows what he was sighting off of. This grenade thrower, I was a suit salesman at JCPenney a long time ago. God, when was that? 1986. 1986. So that was what, 44 years ago? No, that can't be right. Anyway, a long time ago. And I could tell by looking at someone how long their arms were. Is it a 32, 33? Is he a 34, 35? Well, this guy, look at those arms. He looks like he's one of those bouncing balloons at the used car lot that go swinging around, that they have a fan blowing air in it and his arms are flailing about. Look at those arms. If he dropped his arm to his side, it would go past his knee. So that's kind of a weird pose for this guy. Oddly enough, I think I know the guy who modeled for this guy. His name is Heath. I'm pretty sure that's Heath. Anyway, he's in the classic grenade throwing pose, of course, and this, of course, is a classic pose. This figure here is much better. It's a running pose that's done quite well, and he's got a dynamic, exciting pose. He's advancing into combat, so that pose works really well. This one here is of a flamethrower. It sounds like I'm blowing my nose, but I was trying to do a flamethrower sound effect. Yeah. You remember when we were kids, we used to make all the gun sounds, the battle sounds? For some reason, as an adult, you lose that ability to do that anymore. Probably because you have sinus issues or a sore throat or whatever the case may be. But anyway, I'm always creeped out by flamethrower poses. You know, God, I can just picture that. I don't want to picture that. Probably smells like barbecue. Ugh. Anyway, uh, okay, we got guy walking through town, like in this. Show you see that line of soldiers walking through the middle of the street. You know that you see that the street has been cleared of rubble. The Germans are amazingly immaculate. Now that's probably changed somewhat because they have a lot of foreigners there now. But I remember we drove our tanks through a village, and some of the guys drove over the sidewalk and ripped up some of the bricks. I was driving the first sergeant in a Jeep, and it had a sign on the back, convoy ahead, and it had a blinking light to warn people that there was military vehicles up ahead. And we came through the village last, and they were already out there taking pictures of the damage so that they could bill the army for the damages and repairing it. So they were out there sweeping and putting bricks back together and doing all this stuff. And I was like, God, these guys don't waste time. But they are very tidy and fussy that way. You can tell when you're in an area that has a high immigrant population is it becomes very dirty. And I guess what I'm saying is not politically correct, but I got it. I'm telling you what I saw with my own eyes. So I'm not going to change that just for the sake of political correctness. Okay, so let's see. We said flamethrowers, and we mentioned that he's like the guy marching through this. And this is a bar gunner, and he's an okay pose. This guy's here is the only sort of weird one, I think. And he's a little stiff for action. Then we got a couple soldiers here from Series 2, and these guys are at rest because both of them are holding canteens. This one's he's taken off his pack and his rifle, and this guy is holding his canteen. What do we have here? He's standing on a bucket. I guess nobody told him that when you're in combat, you don't want to kick the bucket. Is this a bar gunner? Looks like he has a tripod, so that quite possibly a bar gunner. And we have a bazooka man. And then we have a guy he's on a walkie-talkie. And then we have a fellow that appears to be holding a grease gun. I fired one of those when I was in the Army and was shocked how difficult it was to handle. It really kicked like a mule. I don't think I'd want to go into combat. I would go with an M1 carbine. That was a little easier to control. And this guy, what is he pointing at? Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's the Luftwaffe. No, it's Uberman. Uberman. Anyway, let's not get into that. Faster than a speeding V1 rocket. I'll stop. And we have a bazooka man again. And then this is a curious figure. He's holding his canteen well, I'm not sure what's going on there, but I guess it's another soldier on break. And that would be Series 3. So this figure on the far right, you count over 6, and that is the figures from Series 3. And then when you start with this fella hiding behind the fence, That is series 2. And let me make sure of that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. So that would be series 2. So here along the top, series 1, American Infantry by 21st Century Toys under their Ultimate Soldier brand. Or sometimes it's called, well, not sometimes, it's called 32X, meaning 132 scale. Now, on the very bottom shelf, we have the Forces of Valor. Now, this is 2 sets of airborne troops, and there's 4 poses, and they came in a like small rectangle box with a window. These figures here came on a large blister card, and then I think later issues came in a box with a window and a plastic tray that the figures fit in. These figures here came without their bases glued onto them, and they were tied to the bottom of the box with, those things you close bread with? Not the tabs, but the wires. They were wired into the box, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I've seen these again. But these are pretty decent poses. I like them. The only thing I find weird about them is these guys have huge shoulders. I mean, look at this guy. He looks like, what was the guy's name? Bruce Bannon? When he's turning into the Incredible Hulk. Anyway, so I thought that was kind of weird. The poses are pretty good action figures, though. I mean, they look natural enough. And that's just a minor. I noticed that with the British 8th Army that they came out with, they had really big shoulders, like they were all linemen. Now, there's one thing before I go that I want to point out to you. Is virtually every figure in the Series 1 is a lieutenant or a captain. And I'm like, well, hello, Lieutenant Dan. And there's Lieutenant Dan. And then I think, that one's okay. There's Lieutenant Dan. There's Captain Miller. Lieutenant Dan. Captain Miller. So there's a lot of officers in these sections. So a lot of chiefs and not too many Indians, I'm afraid. All right, guys. Thank you for getting Iggy with it. I always appreciate when you guys come to visit me. And I also thank the new subscribers that have joined the Iggy Army. I noticed that it's ticked up a little bit. So I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you find the videos informative and somewhat interesting, because I'd like to have you come back and visit me again. So thanks for getting Iggy with it. And did I tell you guys a joke today? I think I did. Didn't I? No, I don't think I told you a joke today. Okay. In the 1960s, my brother was not able to go to the zoo because he was a giraffe dodger. You know what? I think I better go now. Thank you, everyone. Take care of each other, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye.